who said being healthy couldn't also be fun. Oh, I just sprayed liquor in my eye, and I wear contacts. But I am not going to go to the bathroom and post-haste remove said contact. I'm going to go ahead and be stoic about it, because that's the trendy thing to do now. To be a stoic. You see it all over the internet, popularized by all sorts of people. From the fellow at the Art of Manliness to, I believe, inevitably, the loudest philosophy babbler that the internet has ever birthed wants to fan Molyneux. And on the list goes. Bloviating its way deep into our skulls, like a dull cudgel chipping away at the edges of our sanity. So, who the hell is a Stoic these days, huh? Do you fancy yourself to be a Stoic? Why is that? Is it because you affect a stance of a stiff upper lip? Or you respond with indifference to pain? And your worldview is underpinned by a sense of duty and well-established, well-reasoned moral standings, from which you will not be shaken by the winds of fate. Oh, you're a rare bird indeed, aren't you? Because I don't see any of these cocks fucking doing that. Yes, I laugh nervously and abashedly because I know I'm a cunt. And I have nothing to add to the conversation aside snark and cynicism. So welcome to TFS number 27 or so. Snark. No. Fuck that. Stoicism, cynicism, and heroics. And that really is what is behind this culture. We feel, as all men feel, in all times and all ages, that we are on the cusp of the eternal something, the big bugaboo, the eschaton, as, what's that mushroom man's name? Terence McKenna would say. But, we're not. Because the world really is more inductive than it is deductive. The shit that went on before is very likely to continue, at least given the time frames that us monkeys can come up with. So, we're not living in the end times, we're not living in tumult, we can just send each other's pictures of our genitals quicker. But, of course, in many people's eyes, this means that a hero must arise and say, no, do not send me your titties. No, I am above that. I am pure love and light. Please show me the beautiful contents of your mind, for I have laid out my path, and it is a path worth traveling. One of matrimony and bliss and all of that shit. And inevitably it ends in a messy divorce. Ew. Yeah. Fuck. But in all honesty, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I just feel that there's too much cuntiness involved. So to get a better grasp on this, let's read an article I should have read before I began. But being pressed for time, I felt it imperative to begin. There we go. Now I begin. Stoicism is apparently popular again. At least that's how it appears, given the spate of recent popular books, articles, and events on the topic. There's Julie Beck's essay from The Atlantic on the benefits of thinking about death like a Stoic. A Stoic? Is that like a Stoic who drinks stouts a Stoic. Oliver Brickerman's book on the negative path to happiness that includes a chapter entitled, What Would Seneca Do? He would smoke some Senecas. I would kill for a ciggy right now. And perhaps most notably an article that appeared in the New York Times, which created a sensation in which the author, Massimo Pigliucci. Massimo, where is the rest of my wine? Massimo, you cunt. You see this? It's all gone. And it's Italian, and you're Italian, and you fucking came by and you drank it. You fucking ass. Oh yeah, I've heard of Massimo before. I think I mentioned him before. He does a lot about philosophy. I like Massimo, but he drank my wine. There's a now Stoic Meetup. Oh god, it's like youth clubs. No, they're actual fucking youth groups now. No, I bet they have little neat beards, don't they? They have little neat beards and polo shirts, and they talk about how they persevere through the power of Stoicism, and they affect heirs, and it's infuriating. I bet that happens. I bet it fucking happens every fucking day. Nothing is new under the sun, you cunts. A yearly social event and science experiment. It's called Stoic Week, in which participants live according to Stoic principles. Oh god, okay, so if you've never read Michael Crichton's travels about, the 60s, and 70s and 80s and onward, about his journey through the New Age movement, these retreats are nothing new. And yes, that is blood under my nose. Thank you. Thank you for noticing. All right. The level of enthusiasm this philosophical revival has produced for an ancient belief system is surprising but also inspiring. These manifestos and popular expressions don't just celebrate an academic engagement with Stoicism, they advocate using it as a practical tool in our everyday lives, primarily to virtue signal about how very fucking immovable we are on principles that we don't actually adhere to. That was an ad-lib. They are a far cry from the criticisms of Stoicism as a cold, harsh school of thought where suppression of emotion and a Vulcan style detachment from the world is paramount. And yet, all this positive press made me wonder, what exactly is Stoicism's appeal for us moderns? What's behind the desire to rehabilitate a way of life, once championed by hard-bodied soldiers and toga-clad politicians? Why is being a Stoic so cool right now? And I've already touched on this. I haven't even read the rest of it. But perhaps it goes along the lines of, the world seems chaotic because it's changing, because you had VHS when you were a kid, and now you have streaming Netflix and endless titties. Okay? And so, in this scenario, you feel that stuff is moving too quickly, and you want to hold on to something that's more tangible, more real, more immovable, more fixed and eternal principle, and thus you don the apparel and the lifestyle and the outlook of people who died millennia ago, because you are, like every hipster in every generation, an unoriginal fucking wanker cunt. Thank you. Let's continue. The self-help trends. Ah, yes, the self-help trends. Mindfulness, gratitude. Mindfulness, that corporate fucking fuck-all meaningless buzzword of, I'm using my pencil with intentionality to do my TBS report, blah. Anyone even glancingly aware of the world of self-help cannot have failed to notice that the practice of mindfulness, or living in the moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. So, being alive, except now you're putting a spin on it, where you're separating yourself from being alive by calling it mindfulness. And then once you enter into mindfulness, you kind of, that's a lot of hoops you're jumping through just to feel like you're more special than the schmuck in the next cubicle. Wouldn't you say? It's all the rage these days. Celebrities and other Vegas cunts like tech gurus and sports stars are publicly swearing by getting centered, being fully present, and unplugging, through practices such as masturbation, meditation, yoga, or even visualizing a dot for 60 seconds. You see, I might take this a little bit more seriously if I hadn't gone through this phase when I was 16 years old and I was studying Buddhism and chakras and all that shit. I might take it quite a bit more seriously if it was a sudden revelation and discovery, but it isn't. It isn't to me, ladies and gentlemen. Do you hate me? Do I make you sad? Have I poo-pooed your new age religion? I'm sorry. I'm a bad man. Most practitioners of mindfulness understand its origins to lie in the Eastern spiritual traditions of Buddhism and Hinduism. However, the Western world also has a long-standing tradition of mindfulness. That tradition is Stoicism. No, it's fucking not. No, the Stoics practice something akin to mindfulness, but in essence, Stoicism has to do with engaging in arguments about the origins of the world and what the essence of the good life is, of schools that opposed them in fucking Greece. Anyway, ancient Stoics were all about living in the moment, a goal achieved by cultivating self-control and self-awareness through meditative practices, though not necessarily of the chanting variety. They thought about thinking, so they did philosophy, like all the rest of the philosophers. They thought about thinking, by considering their emotions from a rational perspective. Your emotions and your consciousness and your intellect are one. It was actually a historic mistake that you're now celebrating. They're one fucking thing. Your emotions help you think. We have neurology to tell us that. We've had it since Damasio, probably before. By considering their emotions from a rational, reflecting on the ethics of decisions. Reflecting on this philosophy. You reflect on the ethics of decisions. They were philosophers. They weren't mindfulness wanking fucks. The slave-turned-philosopher Epictetus summed up his idea in his Stoic handbook, the Enchiridion. Men are disturbed not by things, but by views they take of them. Actually, I'm very disturbed by things. Sometimes people kick me in the balls, and I'm disturbed by the presence of a foot on my balls. I'm just saying. You know who you are, Heather, you fucking bitch. It's not right. It's not right what you did. And I'm coming. His advice, don't expect that events to turn out the way you want, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and you'll get on well. Today's mantras of mindfulness sound strikingly similar to those of Epictetus, and many activities that Stoics undertook to achieve equanimity are similar too. Take, for example, the premeditatio malorum, a methodical visualization of the worst-case scenario for any situation. Here's how Seneca described it. We need to reflect upon every possibility and to fortify ourselves against whatever hardships may come about. Run through, meditate them in your mind, exile, torture, war, shipwreck. He goes on to explain how, if we do this regularly, we can minimize our fear of life's misfortunes and prepare to face them. Common sense shit. Doesn't necessarily even make him a Stoic. That's just something that a Stoic said. It is not intrinsic to Stoicism. But let's continue. The extreme version of this practice is, of course, imagining your own or loved one's death. So Marcus Aurelius exhorts us to think of ourselves as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. Live each day as if it were your last, like a cheesy 70s fucking song. Ooh, la-di-da. Part of the premeditatio's charm for us is that it exposes the limitations of purely positive thinking, which is one of the last big self-help trends. Remember the book, The Secret. By turning it on its head, for the intelligent and sophisticated among us, it's not enough to hope and wish for the best. To find success and contentment, we instead must grapple with all possible outcomes, especially the bad ones. This tendency likely explains the growing popularity, especially in the business world, of a variation on the premeditatio, the project primordium. The practice of premeditatio offers us an efficient way to generate not only a deep state of mindfulness, but a keen sense of gratitude as well. Well, la-di-fucking-da. Alright, so the thing that bothers me about this is you're still not accepting that things are actually bad. You're just taking the bad things and minimizing the bad feelings you get from them without understanding that they're really, really fucking cosmically horrific. and yeah, it bothers me because this leads people to make all sorts of fucking wacky choices in terms of geopolitics. Gratitude is another big trend in self-help, where it's often envisioned as the result and benefit of mindfulness. You know, gratitude we need a lot more of these days, but gratitude should really be a natural thing. You shouldn't have to think about how much worse things should be to be like, hey, my buddy gave me a fucking beer. That is fucking fantastic. Yeah, and if I eat you out, you know, return the favor. It's only fair. Come on. It doesn't smell that bad. All right? I wash regularly. Gratefulness. To enhance their sense of gratitude, ancient Stoics also utilized practical techniques such as voluntary discomfort. Did they? Did they take cold showers? There wasn't... I mean, yeah, there were ways to heat water, but most showers would have been cool or cold to begin with. You fucks. Foregoing sweets, etc. Oh, see, new atheism. It's a replacement for religion. That is it. That is it. People have lost religion. It's a wacky, fucked up world we live in now with all the technology and all the stuff that seems to be happening faster, even though it's not. It's just we have more access to information and people feel lost and at sea because a lot of their principles and assumptions have been cast out the window because of that very information, and now they need a new religion. So they grasp willy-nilly all over history for some fucking semblance of control. And it ends up being just douchebaggery because really we are all middle-class assholes. And that is my little hot take for the day. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoy this bullshit, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the motherfucking channel. My main website is called fractaljournal.com, where you'll find stories, ideas, and more. I've been holding in a fart for far too long, so I'm going to go now. Goodbye.